The Horror House Field Trip. October 31st, 2008 was the worst night of my life. The senior year field trip began with a disastrous field trip to the horror house in downtown. Let's just say more than 4 dozen students attended that field trip and less than 7 made it out alive. I was one of the lucky ones, I guess. Well, I'm guessing because the events of that night haunts my nightmares every so often. In fact, I can't sleep without thinking about that night. I remember that it was blood and body parts everywhere, all over that horror house. Well, let me take you back to that terrible night. My friends and I, plus damn near the entire senior class, all attended the horror house. I've been a fan of horror movies my whole life, so needless to say, but I love to be terrified. That night was weird to say the least though. The horror house only allowed the seniors from my school to attend. There were a few chaperones from my school. However, all of the students in attendance were 18 for the most part. So therefore, the chaperones didn't do much chaperoning. They were all busy talking and gossiping with each other about all the school drama instead of watching over us students. I would come to find out that was a big mistake. A group of my friends and I entered into the glass horror house, where the reflection of your own self would appear as you in the form of some psychotic killer. It was pretty cool up until we exited from the glass house moments after we entered. I remember distinctly that there were a couple of girls who entered into the glass house just seconds after we did, but I didn't spot neither one of them exiting from there even minutes after we exited. I remember chatting it up with my friends about who knows what, but for some reason my focus was aimed at the exit door of the glass horror house. I believe one of the girls who entered after us was a girl I had been crushing on for a very long time. I had made it up in my mind that I would ask her out the very moment she exited from the glass horror house, but she never did. Oh well, I thought to myself, it just wasn't meant to be. I just headed off with my friends to the terror abandoned house where the sounds of loud screams came from. Those loud screams were followed by complete silence, which wasn't weird at first until it kept happening over and over again as I made my way through that abandoned house. There were cheesy themed killers who popped up trying to scare us, but their costumes sucked. Their costumes were no good. It was beyond unimpressive. And then, as if things couldn't get any lamer, a guy in a sheet rushed up to us and slowly grabbed my friend Jesse. We all laughed at how pathetic the villain actually was, because even he struggled to pick her up. She laughed and then she pretended to scream as he calmly asked if we were scared. We all just laughed in his face as he said he's going to show us what being scared truly looks like. We giggled even more as he rushed away up the stairs with Jesse hanging over his shoulders. We all kept laughing as Jesse blurted out sarcastically, "No, Mr. Ghost Man, don't hurt me." He looked ridiculous in his sheet costume, but it was amusing to us all as we heard Jesse begin to scream as they went upstairs. Seconds later, silence took over the abandoned house as we looked at each other, waiting for Jesse to burst out laughing, but she never did. Instead, the man in the sheet began laughing as he tossed down Jesse's dead body down to the first floor right in front of us. We all freaked out and panicked in a hurry as the man revealed a large knife. I took a look at my friends, who all looked at me briefly before we all took off running out of the abandoned house. The moment we made it out of the abandoned house, we spotted a sea of dead bodies lying all over the place. The bodies of the chaperones, along with dozens of students, as I looked at my friends who were all freaking out. The killers focused on us, and then they all began running in our direction. I took off running, and so did my friends. I remember my friend Parker stumbling as we ran, and he was quickly dissected from stomach up to his neck. I wanted to save him, but if I stopped running, I too would have ended up just like him. My friends and I continued running all the way into the woods as we could hear the sounds of laughter behind us. The sound gradually faded away as we got closer and closer to the nearest gas station. We burst into the gas station, all 5 of us, and we all locked the gas station door. The police were called, but they didn't make it to the scene for nearly a half an hour. The attendant at the gas station told us this is a common thing around these parts, where a few kids who survived the horror house would end up at his gas station begging for the police. That was terrifying to hear. But what was even more terrifying is that those killers were never found.